Welcome to Land of the Bible. I'm David Sussman, your personal tour guide here in the land of Israel. And in today's episode, we are going to learn about the biblical area of Samaria. The area of Samaria is known here in Israel as the Shomron, and it's steeped in biblical history. It has the tomb of Joseph, one of the sons of Jacob. Also the city of Shiloh, where the tabernacle stood before the temple was built in Jerusalem. You have the holy city of Shechem, which the Arabs today call Nablus. You have many Jewish communities in the area of the Shomron, and today we're going to meet some of their leaders as well as some of the young people who are settling the land of Samaria. So join me as we discover this historical part of Israel. How awesome is this? To be able to walk through the vineyards of Samaria, the same vineyards that we read about in the Bible, where the women of Israel used to dance on the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Av. In fact, it was on this celebration of love, known as Tu B'Av, that the first king of Israel, Saul, way before he was king, found his beloved and married her. To be able to literally see the fruit of the vine, to be able to pick straight from the tree, to be able to taste its deliciousness. Awesome. Rabbi Rebbitzin, thank you so much for having us in your home here today in Itamar.
It's our pleasure.
Tell us, what is the biblical narrative and the connection between the Jewish people and Samaria?
We know Abraham was born in a place called Ur or Kasdim.
In Iraq.
In Iraq, present-day Iraq. And God told him it's not good enough to live outside the Holy Land of Israel. At that time, he didn't know where he was going. God told him, leave your father's home, the place of your birth, and go to the land I will show you. And Abraham walks across the valley. There's a place called the Jordan River. We all, of course, are familiar with the Jordan River. And there's a crossing called the Jabbok crossing. And it was there, the ancient route that Abraham entered the land. And he came up to a place, it says in Genesis 12, I'll say the Hebrew words, Vayavo Avram ba'aretz ad mekom Shechem ad Elon Moreh. He came to the land of Israel, the place of Shechem, Elon Moreh. And it was there he was first told by God to enter the land and come there.
And Shechem is also the place that the biblical character Yosef is buried.
Exactly. So we actually see a chain of events literally drawing our forefathers to this area. It was first Abraham, later on Jacob coming back after spending 22 years in that same area of Iraq. And later on, it was amazing to see the same pattern when all of Israel entered the land of Israel under the leadership of Joshua. Joshua comes to the land of Israel. They crossed over Jericho. The water stands up in a huge pillar from the city called Adam, and right across, you could see it on the hills of Itamar, looking out in that direction where that pillar stood up.
So Leah, tell us a little bit, how did this all begin, that the Jews started to settle our land again?
It started with a dream. So the Jewish people have dreamt about returning to the land of the Bible for over 2,000 years, and it's happened. The dreams come true. And we've been privileged to give our testimony of actually coming to the land like Abraham, settling in this area in the mid-'80s when actually nothing was here at all. It was just totally desolate, and be witness to the revival of the land of Israel coming to life.
So today, what happens in Itamar?
Wow. First, I'll just say that when we came, it was basically just thorns and rocks, barren hills, dry, and the topography is actually changing. And the prophecies of Jeremiah, of the vineyards sprouting out of the stones, is happening right now. And so we're putting a lot into education here. Most kids in Israel today live in urban centers, meaning that most of them live in apartment buildings. To send a child to dorm in an agricultural, rural area, to give them the present of putting their hands into the earth, actually having that earth connection, is one of the greatest goals of our community.
Amazing. And so not everyone who travels here to Israel can afford to have a private tour guide or to join a tour. How can they find out more about Itamar, and how can they find out how to have an experience by meeting somebody like you here in the land?
Well, we have a website, which is friendsofItamar.org, or touritamar, supportisrael.com. And people could find on our website all the information they need to connect to us, to find out about Itamar, to learn about the community, of course, and plan a trip. Come out here and see it for themselves, because there's nothing like seeing it with your own eyes.
There's nothing like the land of the Bible.
This is it, right
This
here.
is it.
Itamar is a place where you literally feel you can connect to God, you feel that spiritual connection, and it's something that you have to be here to feel it and to experience it.
Well, incredible. And we wish you the best of luck, and we also look forward to seeing the expansion of Itamar. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the region in Israel known as Samaria.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
One cannot visit the area of Samaria without visiting the ancient biblical city of Shiloh. Shiloh has been positively identified by leading experts in the field of archaeology as the historical place that's mentioned in several books in the Hebrew Bible, such as Joshua, Psalms, Judges, Kings, Shmuel, and elsewhere. Today, it's open to the general public. For a small admission fee, one can walk the grounds, literally touch upon history, have a refreshing cup of coffee in their beautiful shop, where you can actually purchase some of the artifacts that have been discovered here, along with biblical jewelry that's been created by some of the residents of the modern community here in Shiloh. Let's now step inside, walk amongst the ground, and learn why this place is so significant. We're now standing on the top of ancient Shiloh. You could see the ruins down below. It was here that when Joshua crossed the Jordan River with the other 12 tribes of Israel, 3 million people in total, the first place that they established their capital before Jerusalem was right here in Shiloh, and it'll stand for 369 years. It was from this location that Joshua implores the leaders of the 12 tribes to take the people of Israel, to branch out throughout the land, to divide it amongst themselves, to begin to build, to cultivate, to raise their families, and to settle the land which God has promised us and given to us. That's the historical connection to Shiloh. But what about the spiritual connection? Well, just down below is where the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was built and stood for 369 years. The same tabernacle that the Jewish people brought with them throughout the desert as they wandered it for 40 years. Now let's head down and learn how archaeologists have positively identified this area as the place where the tabernacle stood. How did archaeologists know to dig here in the first place? Well, we can look to the Torah for that answer. In the book of Leviticus, chapter 6, it tells us that the primary function of the tabernacle was to give offerings to God. In addition, it also tells us how those offerings should be consumed. People needed to be in eyeshot of the tabernacle itself. And then after they consumed their food, the vessel in which it was cooked in had to be smashed. Well, archaeologists found an entire ring of pottery shards surrounding the area that I'm standing in right now. Just imagine this. 3,300 years ago, as families from around Samaria, from Judea, from the entire land of Israel, flocked to the Mishkan, to the tabernacle here in Shiloh, they would have camped out in the hills all around me. They would have feasted with their families and friends, and they would have smashed that pottery. This was a clear indication that this was the location. But once they dug here, they found the actual proof. Since archaeologists have been excavating here, they have found thousands of pieces of pottery, all of which fit the time period of the tabernacle. In addition, they've carbon dated many of the artifacts, and it dates back to the 13th, 14th centuries BCE, the time period of the tabernacle. And on top of all of this, a building, or at least the foundations of the building that they discovered here, fit exactly the dimensions of the way the Mishkan is described in the Bible. All of this leads to the conclusion that this is the location of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. Let's now head up to the top of the hill to discover some of the artifacts that have been recovered here since excavations have taken place. The museum has several sections, each one about a particular time period, beginning with the Canaanite, going through the first and second temple, all the way through modern times and ending with the British Mandate. However, the first exhibit is about different types of pottery and how archaeologists can differentiate between the different time periods. So for instance, over here we have a piece of pottery that dates to the Byzantine period, or a piece that dates to the Hellenistic period, which is from the time of the story of Hanukkah. And over here we have a piece from the period of the Judges, which is the time that the Mishkan stood here, and maybe this piece of pottery that I'm touching right now was used in the Mishkan itself. And then of course you have some of the more fine, articulate pottery that dates to the Roman period. This allows you, the visitor, to become an archaeologist, so that when you walk down to the ruins and pick up a piece of pottery from the ground, you can actually date it yourself. But quite possibly the most significant finds were these wine jugs you see here. Several dozen were discovered, and at the bottom of the wine jugs you had this burnt residue and even some grape seeds at the bottom. We were able to carbon date these grape seeds, and it dates back to the period that Shiloh was destroyed, the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was burnt, and the Ark of the Covenant was stolen by the Philistines and brought down to Gaza. And if all of this wasn't enough proof, fast forward over 1,500 years, when this area was controlled by the Byzantine Empire, we discovered a church and a mosaic floor that was in it. And on the mosaic you had an inscription written in Greek that says, "Pity to those who lived in Shiloh." Conclusive evidence that this is the historical location of Shiloh.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
We're now joined by A.Y. Katzoff, who's a community leader here and a settler in the Samarian Hills. A.Y., thanks so much for joining us today.
David, thank you so much for coming.
So tell us a little bit of why it was that you wanted to settle the land and to plant your roots here in Samaria.
I'll tell you the truth. Some people think of settlements as a negative connotation. But the truth is, imagine waking up in the morning, opening up the Bible, reading about Abraham walking down the road from Shechem south to Shiloh, and then south to Beit El. And then you look out your window and you see the road right there in front of you.
That's incredible. This is it right here.
This is it
the
right here.
The modern highway is on the ancient highway.
It's on the ancient road. We call it in Hebrew Derech HaAvot, the pathway of the forefathers.
Wow.
That's the natural name. Now, that is the most natural thing that a person could have, a Jew coming back to his forefathers' lands, living in the lands where the stories happened, right here.
I couldn't agree with you more. The fact that you and your family came out here and built your house on the ruins of the house of your great-great-grandparents who lived here for thousands of years. Absolutely amazing, and all the respect to you for doing it. So tell us a little bit about what Samaria offers to tourists from abroad.
So it's actually unbelievable. You could just look around, you see the beautiful land here. You have the regular ancient sites, like where we were this morning, ancient Shiloh. You walk through, you discover the ruins, you connect to history, you see the stories in the Bible, and then you have, of course, all the fun activities, which is the omegas, the paintballing, and the most amazing thing for me, when I bring groups here, we go on ATVs, drive through the vineyards that are planted right here.
Incredible. I'm seeing all these vineyards right here, and it's absolutely incredible.
And then down in the valley, you could go down to the natural springs, where for sure our great-great-grandparents went down to those springs and drank from that water.
People like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
They were drinking water here, and here's the springs. And you go down right there, and you connect, and you feel part of the stories of the Bible.
That's awesome. So speaking of these vineyards, I look around and I see all the hilltops and it's all rocky. It seems so difficult to cultivate. Why would anybody plant vineyards here?
Well, David, actually, you won't believe it, but about 20 years here, when the first settlers came to this area, there was nothing here. Desert land, virgin land, untouched, rock, nothing grew here. And they said, we're going to plant vineyards here. And people told them, but it won't work. It's bedrock. You need dirt. You need gravel. And they said, but it says in Jeremiah 31, Od titik ramim b'harei Shomron, which means, and thou shalt plant vineyards in the mountains of Shomron. And they said, you guys want to waste your money? Go for it. And we said, if Jeremiah said it, he knew what he was talking about. We came here, we planted the vineyards. And now they found out that the harder the rock is, the deeper the roots have to go deep down, pick out the minerals from under, and we get the best grapes. And just look around, you see all the green here. There was nothing here.
Amazing.
We are living the prophecies. We are living it right here. When Jeremiah was talking about the end of days, that the Jews will come back and plant in the mountains of Shomron, of Samaria, right here.
Well, I understand tourists can come here and pick help to pick the grapes, to plant new vineyards. There's so much volunteer work for both young and old alike.
We
Tell
have
us a little-
volunteers all the time, and just so you should know, tomorrow morning I have 70 volunteers, all Christian, that are coming to harvest my vineyard tomorrow morning, which is unbelievable. Anybody can come and volunteer, be part of it, be part of the prophecy.
Well, I hope you reap a large harvest. You deserve it.
Thank you. Amen.
So, it's hard to imagine that 20, 30 years ago, before these Jewish communities began to settle this region, that all of this was barren. Today, it's filled with life.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, just so you could really imagine it, and I'll give you a little bit of a taste of what Sink has to offer. I will bring you now to a new settlement that just started about a month ago on barren land, and the same way you see Big Shiloh over here a couple years ago was nothing. This is what this place will look like in 20 years. I'm going to bring you right there now, and you will see the livelihood, settlement, the seed that has just been planted now. And with your imagination, you can understand where it'll grow to and how big it'll become.
Well, I'm excited. Let's go.
Let's go.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
AY has brought me out to the middle of nowhere, somewhere here in Samaria. AY, what are we looking at over here?
So we're actually at a homestead, and my friend Eitan came here, built it out of nowhere, right here.
Nowhere's right. This is just empty space here.
If you look right across, that is the mountains of Moab, about 10 miles away.
Across the valley.
Across the valley. The valley itself is the Jordan Valley, which the Jordan River goes from north to south, all the way down.
Wow, that's incredible.
And that is the spot where Joshua came with the Jewish people, crossed the river, came up to the Samarian mountains, to the Shiloh, and built the first capital of Israel.
Wow, that's incredible. We were literally standing in the footsteps of Joshua and those Israelites.
Right here where they came through. And Eitan, who built this homestead here, is really bringing to life this barren land, making the desert bloom.
Well, what is he cultivating here? What does he do?
He has his sheep here, just like King David. Takes his sheep out on these mountains, shepherding, and the boys who build it are teens at risk that come here, and by taking the sheep out, connecting to the mountains, connecting to the verses from the Bible, the prophecies of the Jewish people coming back to the land and making the desert bloom, that itself heals them.
That is powerful. That is amazing. So he's come out here and he's built this place. He lives out here with his wife and his children.
Wife and 5 children.
5 children. What does he do for electricity?
There's no electricity and water. He has some generators. He brings water on a truck, and he's blooming. And I wish you to come back here in a year from now, and you won't recognize it. There will be trees here. There'll be houses. There'll be a little community, and Eitan will probably be on the next hill over, starting up the next community.
That's incredible. AY, this has been so special. I just want to say thank you. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you bringing us here in the middle of Samaria to witness the Jewish people's return to the land of Israel, and starting from humble beginnings right here on this hillside, and eventually this will develop into a community like the one you live in.
Amen. Thank you. And I invite everybody to come over here, feel the land, boots on the ground, feel the gravel, pick up the pottery, connect to the prophecies. See you soon.
Well, we appreciate that invite. Stay tuned as we continue to learn more about Samaria. However, the largest community in Samaria is located just slightly north of Itamar and is known as Ariel, which is Hebrew for the Lion of God. It's also one of the names of Jerusalem, as it's called Ariel in the book of Isaiah. It was founded in 1978 and saw a huge boom to its population when the Soviet Union collapsed and Jews were finally allowed to escape from behind the Iron Curtain. Today, Ariel is comprised of 16,000 residents as well as another 10,000 students who study at one of Israel's 8 universities known as Ariel University. It's also only 26 miles east of Tel Aviv, making this a wonderful community for people who want to commute from the suburbs into the big city of Tel Aviv for work. Coming up next time on Land of the Bible, we are going to learn about the Bedouin of Israel, their ancient customs, and how they're moving forward into the 21st century. Wow, what an incredible day today has been, meeting all of those incredible people who are settling the areas of Samaria and of course learning all about its rich biblical history. Thank you for watching Land of the Bible. And remember, I'm David Sussman, your personal tour guide here in the land of Israel. Make sure to join us next time as we connect you to the people, places, and land of the Bible.